Hi there, this is Bonita. My name is Bonita. Hi, and I'm joined today in the studio by social distancing and the miracle of the internet with Candy Zazera, who's based out in North Carolina. Was it? No, it's South Carolina. Yeah? And Candy has been one of our students since August last year. Candy, you joined up the Wedding Academy from to into our Launchpad program, which was a program specifically designed to get you started in business together, which is the same as our advanced certificate program, but it had the added bonus of some live lessons. I'm Bonita, and I'm the mentor for Africa, US, and the GCC. So I've got quite a big territory to look after. But Candy I was really excited speaking to you when you first reached out to me about getting started. And your journey has been quite an interesting one, Candy. If you could just give me a little bit about your background from a personal perspective. I know your story, but our viewers don't. If you could just share with me, how you decided to join the wedding planning community, well, the industry.
Well, my friend and I, who is my business partner, have known each other for over 30 years. And throughout that 30 years, we have planned parties, we've done anniversary parties, birthday parties, surprise parties, and we've even helped with weddings. So when it was coming time for my retirement from the school system, we decided, she retired too, and we decided that we would take on a new adventure. And this is what we wanted to do. We wanted to plan weddings. And during that time when we decided, we actually planned and carried out her daughter's wedding. And my daughter got married at a venue that did everything.
Nice.
And it was wonderful. It was a walk in, walk out. And that's why I decided I wanted to do that for other mothers.
Yes. Yeah.
So, looking for help online, I came across the Wedding Academy. I said, that's it. That's what I need. So, when the launch pad came up last year, I jumped in and here I am.
1 year later, and we're so happy to have you because a lot of people. I think you're so in. Your story is so inspirational because it's not a lot of people that decides at retirement age to start up a new business. You're well settled. It's not like you really need the money, or you're doing it out of passion and you're doing it out of love, and I think that's amazing. And I really take my hat off to you because you're like above 50, and that's not a demographic that we see very often. Most people are like, oh, am I too young to start this? But in the wedding industry, you're not too young or not too old. You can start this business and get into the industry at any age. So how did you find, I mean, it's quite a departure from your regular learning, because I mean we're obviously an online academy and everything we do is online. How did you find all of that? Because I know, when I speak to like my mom, whatever, not that you're my mom's age. I mean, my mom's probably a bit older than you, but it's you're not that old. That whatever I say it sounds terrible. I'm so sorry. Completely, you know, so but I mean it is challenging. I mean, I find it, I've grown up in the online space and I've been in that space since it started, but and I've been working in that. So for me it's pretty easy, but even some of my friends who are my age and I'm 40, they're kind of like, oh, I can't do this online learning thing. And was that something that was of concern to you when you started? I mean, you've been doing so well, so how did you find that so far? I mean, just as a departure from traditional classrooms.
Well, I was a librarian, and so I worked with technology at my school. My husband is actually an IT specialist,
Okay, perfect.
so he is up on all the new stuff, and I have to try and keep up with him. So I've actually enjoyed the online. I think it's great that we're able to communicate and be so far away. And I've enjoyed learning it. The only thing that really scares me is Instagram.
Instagram's easy. it, it can be time consuming, but it is a monster. And I agree with you as a professional who works with clients on Instagram. It is not as easy as people think, especially when you want to become, doing it as a business versus doing it for yourself. So, there are some tips and tricks, and we've got that covered in the marketing section of your course. So,
Absolutely.
and you're going to get there. And which brings me to my next question. How far along in your course are you? How far along? You've completed quite a fair bit. I mean, you've been there a year.
I have completed most of the business module, enough to go ahead and get my business up and running somewhat. I've also done some of the styling module and the floral module. The marketing, I'm not there yet.
But that's okay. The point about doing a course with us, that even though, we had something which we called the Launchpad, which again, we're doing again later on this year, which had a set of live lessons, every week, in addition to, working together. We work with you on the business stream. But, you can come back to all of our modules all the time. So, it's easy to dip in and out, and you don't have to be, completely caught up and trying to race through it. I mean, obviously, your timeline is different. It has been. And I mean, I believe that the reason I remember you, because you were like, I'm doing my daughter's wedding and this is why I want to do this course. And you were like, yeah, I'm thinking about starting a business. And so you've completed the styling sections, and your daughter just recently got married. And I'm sure her wedding went off without a hitch.
Well, it to everybody else, there was no hitch. But of course, behind the scenes, there's always something. But she did. She got married on May the 16th. Unfortunately, the big ceremony and party that we had planned could not happen. So what we decided to do was have a small family ceremony here in our yard
Wow.
and let her go ahead and get married. And since we had already paid our deposits, actually we had paid most of the venues because it was last minute that we decided to do it here. She is going to have a vow renewal ceremony next May on her 1-year anniversary.
Oh, that is so amazing.
And we're going to do the big shebang.
Oh, I'm sure it'll be amazing. And by then you would have had your marketing waxed.
I hope so.
No, but and that is so reflective of what, the reality is of brides at the moment who have, people want to get married. And I mean, your commitment to that other person is what's the most important bit. So, people I've had lovely couples in the UAE, and I've had couples who've been even separated by different lockdowns get married on Zoom, and they're still planning their party. Yeah. They've had a celebrant in, and or they've done, or if they've been together. I know that of a few couples, particularly in the UAE, which has been made up of, quite a few expats. There was a couple that got married on Zoom. They got married, they got the celebrant in. There was a whole bunch of social protocols to follow, but the celebrant married them on Zoom, and they broadcast it to their friends, and their big party is planned next year. So, this is the reality, that a lot of people are still getting married, and next year the wedding industry is going to be totally, totally busy. It's going to be a busy year. So, you're a case in point. And but Candi, one thing I loved about I've obviously been seeing you in our students only group, because we've got a specific a Facebook group for students. I've seen you post a couple of times, and I've just loved seeing that. Because you've really taken the time to get to know people and form relationships, which is awesome. But can you tell me a little bit about your aesthetic? Because I think it's quite different to, what people see generally. What you like doing.
I like the styling part.
Yeah.
A lot of people do enjoy the planning and the organizing and those things, but I enjoy the styling. I've always been creative, and there have been different ways that I've tried to express my creativity. And recently, that has been with flowers. I'm
Yes.
enjoying working with the flowers and using what I have in my yard to create something. One of the things I think you said you saw was when we went to the mountains for a mini vacation. I just walked along and picked all kinds of stuff and challenged myself to see if I could make something out of it. But I love setting tables. I love
Yes.
dishes and the styling. That's really what I like to focus on.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But your style, I mean, and by the way, I'm going to share in the comments. I'm going to try download it from the student group. So in the comments on our Facebook page and in the comments on, all the other groups where this is going live to, I'm going to share that beautiful floral arrangement because you took a series of photos and I just thought, wow, this looks, I would pay serious money for that arrangement. It was just such a beautiful bouquet. I mean, the thing is, you don't have to, and I think your story is amazing. I mean, even though you've got a partner, I mean, how do you feel working with a partner who maybe doesn't have she's obviously not enrolled in the wedding academy. I mean, how do you balance? I mean, you're now the knowledgeable one in the duo. How is that working out for you in terms of your partnership?
It's working out just fine.
Okay.
I've been handling all of the business and the little bit of marketing that we've done so far. She is really good about giving suggestions and
Mhm.
coming up with different ideas, and she is a wonderful stylist.
Oh, fantastic.
So
Fantastic.
I've got her. We call ourselves Thelma and Louise.
That's amazing. Oh, by the way, can you tell us your business is called Two Classic Turtles Wedding and Events? I'm going to put that up on screen here just to send people to your website. And I think it's amazing. It's a beautiful little website. It says what it does on the box. But I mean, can you tell me a little bit about the backstory behind Two Classic Turtles Wedding and Events?
Sure. My partner and I met when we were in college. We had both joined a sorority, and for the sorority was a turtle. And since then, we have always collected turtles. I have turtle jewelry. Um, we live not far from the coast, so I am in a Facebook group that shows about the loggerheads and all that. But we decided that we would be the two classic turtles because we're turtles. We are both over 50, so we're classics now. And that's what we've had in common for over 30 years. So there
That's
it
amazing.
is.
That is amazing. I absolutely love that story. It's awesome. And then, you went back and forth with your logo design. I mean, I think, when did you go back? I mean, what was the story behind? I mean, how did you eventually? It's such a classic name. It's not something, it's a great name. And it's not something, one would easily forget. How did you arrive at, your logo? Because I know that you were at one stage, you were sharing suggestions. How was that process for you in terms of coming up with the font and the look and the feel and the
Well,
colors? And
it's been a an adventure. Um, I wanted to get something out there, so the first logo I had was just a picture of the turtle and our name.
yeah,
And then I learned how to do work in Canva. I took a mini course and learned
yes,
how to work Canva, and I learned how to do a lot of things in there. And I practiced and played around with it, and I found some other things. I found some beautiful magnolia images that I like. That's kind of our trademark,
yes,
so to speak. And I put those together and came up with what we have now, which you
yeah.
got it. It looks like I meant for it to look like a turtle.
Yeah, it's so beautiful. It's lovely. I mean, I'm also going to share the URL to your Instagram if you don't mind. Just putting it
Yes,
out
go
there
ahead.
to for people to, follow you. And I mean, you've said that you've just started doing, you just started on the marketing section. So I'm just going to share the the two, I'm just going to put that up there. It's twoclassicturtles.com. And then here is the Instagram, Two Classic Turtles. But your ideal client is somebody that is completely different to the norm. Can you tell me about who your ideal client is? I mean, we speak about this so often and in our courses, and what really, honestly, the secret of success is that you're not going to be everybody's wedding planner. You're not going to be everybody's wedding planner. You've got to focus on your niche, and you've got to speak to people who are your target audience. Can you tell us a little bit more about your target audience?
Well, when I was trying to figure out who I wanted to work with, I looked at all of the people in my area that were getting married. Um, Fortunately, what I like to do and what they were choosing happened to be the same thing. We like vintage and traditional. Um, Barn weddings, that's real big in my area now, which that's what my daughter will be doing next year. But we like that. But after my oldest daughter got married and I did a walk in, walk out as the mother of the bride, I thought every mother of the bride should have that experience. I
Yeah,
didn't have to do anything ahead of time. I didn't have to set up. I didn't have to clean up. Um, I just, we walked in, we enjoyed it, and had a wonderful time and walked out. And that's what I decided that I wanted to do for other mothers of the bride, give
yeah,
them that experience.
yeah. So your target, I mean, you're speaking to people who are, organizing their kids' weddings and, saying to them, we'll set it up, we'll do everything for you. We're still going to be stylish and trendy. We're not, we've got the knowledge behind us. We're not going to make your daughter go, eek, I don't like that. Because it's, I know how it gets with mums and daughters.
Mhm.
I've got a mom and I think her taste is awful most of the time. But I mean, we're very different people. We're extremely different. We couldn't be, we're chalk and cheese, and I would never let her near any event, in terms of decor that I'm doing. But when she does it, she does everything so well. So, yeah, not to run down my mom. I love her to bits, but we're just so different. And our aesthetic is completely something completely different. But I mean, with the Wedding Academy, we do, you do get to work with some groundbreaking, um, you know, uh, yeah, groundbreaking, get some groundbreaking knowledge, and you've got all the tools at your disposal. I mean, the flowers that you did, I was like, wow, that is not traditional. It's it is something quite avant-garde and a statement piece. So Kenny, you also did, and I love that, and I love that, and I think it's important, before I jump into the next bit because I'm running along. um, so that is a very different audience. So are you looking at using, I mean, I know you haven't covered the Facebook aspect of it. Instagram is very much a younger type of audience. I'm sure that, and this is just from my marketing knowledge, is that you'll probably find a lot more joy in Facebook and using Facebook really well to reach people within your area, moms and, of the older generation, because older generation like us, you and I, we prefer Facebook generally to kind of Instagram and TikTok and God knows Snapchat and everything that they've got going on. I am on TikTok now. It's scary. That is scary.
I haven't ventured there.
Oh my gosh, it's crazy. It's crazy because I'm not the kind of person that enjoys videoing themselves. I like to have, interaction. No, but I mean, that's just a generational thing. And I think that's amazing because, your niche is people who want barn weddings, who want something traditional, who are specific to your area, and who are, and you're aiming that at moms, parents of the bride, for them to have a stress-free experience. And I'm sure that for you, I'm guessing that, I know, for you, it's probably, it's really important for you to be sort of certified, so that, do you find that, have you had many conversations with prospective clients yet about being certified and qualified to be able to do that? Or do they just give you the free pass because of the age? Oh, I think she's frozen. Candy, can you hear me? Candy's frozen a little bit, so I'm going to give her internet a little bit of time to go on. But one of the questions that one of the challenges that younger people find um, is when when you're a young planner, is a lot of people I want to see my certificate, they want to see my certification, is because generally maybe it's generally those conversations that happen when you're speaking to the father of the bride. Candy's just gone offline. I'll wait for her to come back. She's going to try and enter in again to the broadcast studio. So, yeah, I'm sat in my living room today. So, generally, parents of the bride, when they're dealing with a younger individual, especially if you're really young, starting out, and this is your, and you come across as really nervous, people tend to then ask you about, especially if it's the parents paying, they kind of like, oh, where are you certified? So that's definitely a question you get. But with the Wedding Academy, we do give you the chance to get certified. It is international certification that is, recognized across the globe. And you're like people like Candi come in, and I find her to be a really interesting person, because she didn't have to, start up a business at her age, but she's obviously very focused on that particular target market, and I've got no doubt that she's going to do very well. I'm going to just see if I can get her back in here, so that we can try that again, and ask her a little bit more questions, because Candi was also one of the ladies that did our Instagram challenge for Easter. Her Easter tablescape was really lovely. I really enjoyed seeing it, and it was really reflective of her aesthetic, which is vintage, and yeah, it was vintage and quite stylish, and it was very classic as well. So I personally I have a lot of fun seeing students in the student group, um, and seeing them progress. I have no idea where she's gone to, so give it a few more minutes. But if you've got any questions, you can always, type them in the comments below, and we can get you, we can get. I can answer any questions that you have about us. Now, the course that Candi was on was what we called the Launchpad program, and that is basically just our advanced diploma with the added extra live lessons happening every week. I'm just trying to message Candi on, yeah, I'm just trying to message her on Messenger to see if if she reads it, to see that she comes back. Technology doesn't always play along with us, but yeah, I mean, we did the launch pad last 2-3 times last year. We actually closed the academy to focus on people who really wanted a helping hand to start out their wedding planning business. And we're probably going to be doing another launchpad program again later on this year. Okay, Candi is back. I'm going to add her back here. Hi there.
I had to come in the house. My phone was getting hot.
Oh, I'm glad you're back. Take a few seconds to get yourself situated. What a panic. These things these things happen. It's okay. It's absolutely okay. I was just telling our audience about, the Launchpad program, and that we'll probably be doing it later on this year. And, I started talking to them a little bit about the Easter tablescape, our tablescape challenge for Easter. And I loved your table. How did you find that experience?
I loved it. I love a challenge, and I'm always up for one. My Easter tablescape, I decided, well, of course, they asked us to use what we already had at home.
Yeah.
And what I had was a lot of hand-me-downs from my grandmother and my aunt and my mom. So I pulled out those, and that's what I used. I did a Easter at Grandma's.
Yeah. Oh, it was so gorgeous. It was just the sweetest little table ever, because I remember the cross stitching, because it was cross stitch, yeah, on the tablecloth. Was that your grandmother's?
Yes, it was, and she made it.
Oh, wow. Amazing, hand stitched. by your grandmom. What a special piece. And, it was vintage. And I love the crockery that you used and the way you laid it. It just, gave me that feeling of warmth. And like you say, that going to grandma's. And I think, that's the wonderful thing about, being a wedding stylist is that you do get to create an emotion with
Mhm.
what you see, because everybody was told to just get stuff at home. And well, your creative process, I mean, besides having these amazing things at your house, which honestly I'd love to see in person, did you go ahead and create a mood board or anything like that? What did you think? What was kind of your thought process as a stylist?
Well, I decided what I would do is just pull everything out and lay it on the table. So
Yeah,
instead of going online and doing a mood board, I did a actual mood board and I laid it all out and decided what I wanted to use and then put it together. And then I went outside to see what was out there and I cut what I
yeah.
could to use for the florals.
Yes, yes. Oh, it
And
is so lovely. I'm going to share the link to that picture because you posted it on your Instagram, which I loved. And the glass is just amazing. So can you walk us through some of the flowers that you use? I'm just going to leave the link
well, what
on.
I had in my yard at the time, I believe I had some, my snowball bush was blooming. So I had the big white poofs, if you know what that is. I had an iris and I had lots of greenery. And a lot of it was greenery because that's what I could find. And that's what I used. I think I had a little bit of azalea because we have some of
Yes,
those in our
yes.
yard too.
We're just putting this here so that it looks Easter at grandma's. Okay. Yeah, let's do that. I'm going to put it into the chat box and then also put it onto our screens here so that you can actually click that link, guys, and have a look at Candi's Easter tablescape. And I've made a spelling error, but that's okay. So, Candi, what is next for you? I mean, have you had many bookings? Have you had other clients other than family that you've been working with, or have you just kind of held back a little bit?
Well, it's been an adventure this year.
Yeah,
We got sidetracked with lots of stuff. Life gets in the way a lot of times. So I'm not as far along as I wanted to be. I did have one client. She was actually a student that went to the school and had graduated and was getting married. But of course, her wedding got canceled too.
yeah.
And hers is next year. Uh, Unfortunately, she and my daughter picked the same day. So I'm not going to be able to do her.
Exactly. No. And no. The
But
such
we're working. One of our packages on the website is a small wedding. I thought after I did my daughter's, there's going to be lots of other
yeah,
girls who want to get married, but with the restrictions, they're not going to be able to have the big wedding. So we're going to be bringing it all,
yeah.
um, chairs, the tables,
Wow.
everything we need. We're even going to bring the cake.
Wow.
So
Wow.
it's all in one, and we're starting to market that because I
Okay,
think we're going to be in this for a little while longer.
yeah, exactly. I don't think this is going to go away anytime soon. But what a fabulous idea. I mean, to take all of that in house. But now you've got the skills because you can kind of say, you don't have too much choice, but these are our standard offerings. And, did you find it difficult to price that, put that pricing together? Because, I mean, you've got different packages. You've got on the day coordination or month of coordination, let's say styling packages, and now these smaller wedding packages. And then obviously everybody wants a full service wedding. I mean, how did you find putting your prices together? How was that module for you? Because that's quite an important part of our business section, what we
That
teach. How?
that was challenging.
Yeah,
Um, Pricing each thing individually, and then um, pricing labor.
Yeah.
charging that has been the hardest thing, trying to figure out how much I'm worth. And
Yes.
I have to remember that I'm probably worth more than I think I am.
Yes, absolutely. That is such a common thing with every single creative entrepreneur and also any other small business owner. We want to give you the best experience ever, but we always devalue ourselves and we forget to pay ourselves. So, yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that because that is something like we preach. Pay yourself.
I know. After I did the wedding at home for my daughter, it hit home exactly how much work went into that. I mean,
Yeah,
what a lot of people don't see is behind the scenes. You have to do the ironing of the tablecloths and the steaming. And we did chair covers because, of course, I had to round up chairs and none of them matched, but I had chair covers.
amazing.
Um, Tying
Yeah.
bows, just tying the chair sashes around them, that takes a lot of time.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So it's kind of a micro wedding. And do you have, you're obviously working together with the church, or do you have a minister or a what do you call those? Good name, a
Efficient.
celebrant that you work with.
Um, well, my partner was actually going to go and be certified as an officiant. She hasn't done
Oh,
that yet, but we
okay.
were going to offer that eventually too.
Oh,
Um,
that's
my daughter's one of her friends performed their ceremony for them,
okay.
and there are some others that do that around here. So
Yeah.
that part of it would be up to the couple.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, so you're saying you do small weddings now for people who are in lockdown. And you know what? As a small business owner, that is an amazing entrepreneurial way of thinking because I'm sure that a lot of people haven't even thought of that. The fact that, you can have your closest family, it's a gathering of less than 50 people. You're bringing in the cake, you're bringing in the chairs, you're bringing in the celebrant, hopefully. And you're bringing in the flowers because obviously you do amazing flowers. So all of that is really innovative, and I'm so proud of you for doing that. But that is agile thinking, and that is amazing. That you're putting that service together because, as like you said, we're going to be here in this time for we're going to be here for a lot of time, for a longer time. And if you've got to go into a family's backyard, because I'm sure that in South Carolina you've got, I mean, such amazing natural beauty, you know, and somebody, you might find a whole new niche, but you've got the tools behind you to price it correctly, as you say, without
I
under.
I went when we were trying to price. I did go back through that unit in the module,
Yeah,
and it's great. That's one thing I really like about the Wedding Academy is that it's been a while since I've done some of them, but
yeah,
they're going to be there, and
yes,
they're always going to be there, which
yeah.
to me is wonderful because going back and reviewing is something I've learned through education. You got to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And it helps to refresh the base, getting that, just reading through it, even though you've done the worksheets, it kind of helps you just to go back and go da 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 da, go back to basics and go back to the principles, especially when it comes to something like pricing, because you're like, oh, this sounds about right. But we do forget to count the number of hours in our time. And I do it myself in my business as well. I mean, I kind of go, oh yeah, it's going to cost you about this much. I kind of give a ballpark figure, and then not oftentimes I'm wrong, but I'm kind of like, once I get back into the nitty gritty of the actual job, and I work in the digital marketing space a little bit with some of my clients, in the green space, I kind of go, oh, this task is going to take me a lot longer. This what they actually want when you unpack it is a lot. It's going to take me a lot longer. I need to be charging more, but I've blurted out. I've made that mistake myself, where I've kind of blurted out and said, "Oh, it's going to cost you maybe $200 or whatever," or "Yeah, I'll do that for you. It's going to cost roughly 500, whatever the case, or $1,000, whatever it is." And then I've actually gone and shot myself in the foot because I didn't go back and go, let's sit down. and kind of go, right, this is actually what they want. So yeah, I mean, you don't want to custom price everything, but it is helpful to have, sort of standard packages starting from, you know,
Mhm.
and that's kind of good language to use when you're sitting in front of a client. Oh, you can say, we do small weddings starting from, whatever the case is. How much do you do start wedding? How much do you do small weddings for? Generally
Um,
speaking, starting price point.
I'm thinking that if I remember correctly, it's on the website, but
Yeah,
it would start at 600.
yeah, yeah. Yeah. And I mean, and that's the starting price, and that is, you can say to people, hey, my rates start at, at this rate. And then, people can say, well, if I add in this and, if I add this and I add that and their requirements become more, obviously it goes up in price. So, and that's kind of how you have to approach it. Uh, so,
You can customize it that way too.
yeah, exactly. To give yourself a little bit of leeway because, like you say, you had to borrow chairs from everybody, but you had these chair covers. Then you had to steam them all and iron them all and get them put on. And I mean, that all adds, it also adds time to on the day because, I mean, you could get them
Mhm.
ironed somewhere else, but it adds to your cost and it saves you the time. But then, to put chair covers over every single chair, adds to your setup time, which is quite crazy. So that's you learn from experience. But I hope that you get to do quite a lot more of those, and I hope that you do see some good business coming in over the next few months because even though at the moment I'm in South Africa and the government has started easing some restrictions, but I mean for funerals, nobody's allowed weddings. We're allowed to go to funerals, but we're only allowed 50 people at a time in funerals. The same with church. I mean, we're allowed to go to church. You're allowed to go to your or mosque or temple or whatever religious practice, whatever religion you are at. But 50 people. But a lot of people are still not doing any of that. So I think until we really know what's going on, I'm sure that you're going to do really well with your micro. Can I call them micro weddings or small weddings? With your small wedding packages. I really just inspired by you in general. I mean, you're lovely. Every time your questions, I've seen you ask a few questions in our Q&A. I haven't seen you on there lately, or maybe there's just so many questions that come through for Kylie to do once a week. What was the last
No,
question that you asked on the Q&A? What did you last need help with?
I
Oh,
really don't know.
that means it's good. It means we've answered it. So that's fine.
Yes, she did. She answered it. And I really have enjoyed having all the mentors do their lives on the Facebook group. I've tried to watch those. Some of them I've gotten on live, and some I haven't been able to. Um, Christine's are kind of hard to catch since she's all the way across the world
Yes.
from me. But
Yeah.
because of all of that, I really haven't had a whole lot of questions because they've answered it.
Yeah.
And the other students who come on and ask questions, a lot of times those are some of the same things I want to know too.
Yeah. Exactly. But and that's the beauty of collaborative learning because even in the course material we do answer questions. I'm not part of the grading team because I mean I don't own a wedding planning business. My focus is a little bit different. My focus is on sales and marketing. So I do industry events and I speak at industry events, but I don't, I do business to business events. I'm not, my ideal clients wouldn't make me a lot of money, unfortunately, because they'd be a little bit like me, running off to elope. If you're lucky, you get to know about it. So I'm, in terms of my ideal client, I'm the worst. But I mean, that's why I'm not, but I organize other events and, our mentors. I mean, Zoe's been in business. I mean, she celebrated her 10th year of operation last year already.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And Christine runs a wedding coordination, day of wedding coordination, or kind of month of coordination business Australia wide. And, she's extremely busy and extremely experienced. And that's also been going for almost 10 years. And, then there's Kylie as well, who's been, in the industry and education. I mean, the Wedding Academy's been around for 12 years, but, Kylie herself was an event planner in the UK and then was planning weddings on one of the islands, these posh islands in Australia, on the Hayman Islands. That's it. She was there. She was there for she was there for quite a few years before she launched the academy. So real seasoned professionals. So yeah, I don't do too many because I do marketing and sales, and you girls are so good at that. Anyway, by the time you come through the business section.
Well, that is one thing that I think has been difficult for a lot of the students. I've seen on there, especially the older students, like you said, who did not grow up with the technology, and it's been a challenge, but I think we can help each other through it. And other students, those of us who were in the launch pad from last August, we see the newbies coming in, and a lot of times the questions they have, we've at least had a little bit of experience. And the good thing is everybody in the group helps everybody else.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's one thing I really, really like about this group and the Wedding Academy.
Yeah, it's awesome to see that. And Anthea Welcott is just saying, hi, everybody. Hi, Bonita. Hi, Anthea. Great to see you on here. I mean, that's wonderful because, half the time we sat there as mentors and we're going, okay, actually, I'm not going to jump into this thread because they're kind of answering one another anyway. And nobody's saying anything that I disagree with. So what am I going to say to that, which is a testament to your expertise, I mean, obviously we monitor everybody, but, nobody, it's such a fabulously supportive community. And, you guys are what make it, you are what makes the community that great. And, you've got the framework of the course and you're learning the same things, but you're applying it in totally different ways, which is, why I'm so excited and why I got so excited that when you agreed to be interviewed on you, because you're a little bit different to the normal 30, I'd say what I say our mean age about 30, 28 to 35 age bracket type of person. I mean, that's the majority of the age of some of our students, I would guess. We don't have, we've obviously got younger people and older people, but I just really got excited speaking to you because you're a little bit different, and it's great to have that experience.
That's one thing I think is an advantage over a lot of the younger students is I do have life experiences.
Yeah.
And I think I can bring that and help the other students as well as my clients.
Yeah. You've seen that you've probably be able to handle every situation with such grace and such, finesse and poise, which is something I don't have. I'm completely loopy. So, I've got a very high energy type of personality. So having somebody like you around, is amazing.
Well, I think every bride and groom needs somebody to tell them that everything's going to be fine. It's taken care of. You just go enjoy yourself.
Oh, when you say it in that voice, I'm like, yes, ma'am. I would not be arguing with that. I believe you. Yeah, but I know that you've got the skills and the knowledge behind you to do that. So we're going to have to get going because I think Zoe's got speaking to another student right after this. So she's due to start in about 10 minutes. So if you have been live watching Candi and I having this chat, it's been absolutely fabulous. You've been a fabulous audience. Those of you who commented, Anthea, love to have you here. Yeah, stay along and catch up with Zoe, and I think Kimberly Davenport, she's next. And just a bit of Friday. I mean, for me, it's Friday evening, but for you, it's still Friday. So, Candi, I'm going to catch up with you in the Wedding Academy Pro group and catch up with you on Facebook. Thank you so much for sharing your story. You're truly inspirational, and I genuinely mean that.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. I've enjoyed talking with you.
That's such a good thing. Thank you so much. Speak to you soon. Bye.
And bye.